This week's entertainment is on the documentary entitled Cowspiracy. It follows one guy's quest to uncover the truth about the animal agriculture in America. Executive produced by Leonardo DiCaprio and written and directed by Kip Andersen and Keegan. It was released on June 26, 2014, and is available to watch on Netflix. So, what did we think of this life-changing documentary?
I was rather shocked by how it impacted me. As someone who already, we're researching this kind of thing all the time. I mean, for the past, I think this is like our 19th week, we have hardcore been researching this kind of thing. So, I was crying throughout the documentary. I mean, giant, kind of things. And, and it kind of made me mad, too. It made me mad.
Yeah. I avoided watching it for a really long time because I had this idea that it would be like very graphic factory farming, like the PETA kind of videos. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, obviously it's something a lot of people need to know about. I just didn't know if I could handle it. But it's nothing like that at all. There are very few graphic elements to it. It's a lot of facts. And I think it's definitely something that everyone should watch. It was really life-changing for me. I mean, I already knew the basics of a lot of this, but some of the facts were just crazy. Like, for instance, it takes 2,500 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef, and that one hamburger is the equivalent of 2 months of showering. So with this huge drought that we have in California, it's crazy that this isn't a bigger issue. And one of the things I thought was interesting was when he went to the California Department of Water Resources, which is where my dad works, and I actually interned there for a summer, so I know the woman who made the Save Our Water logo, and I thought it was crazy that he went there and and showed that they know nothing about, the animal agriculture business and how impactful it is, on our water and on our environment. And, the facts were just crazy.
And it makes me mad, though, that they don't know that. I mean, because one of the facts that I found the most staggering that I'd actually never heard before was that domestic water use is 5% of water consumption, where animal agriculture is 55% of all water consumption. And they're telling you to shower less and, the waiters at restaurants don't leave water out and don't water your lawn or whatever. And it's a load of crap because it's 5%. So even if you did all of the things recommended, you're not saving anything. Doing all of the government recommendations for saving water saves 47 gallons a day. Big whoop-de-doo when eating a hamburger not eating a hamburger would save 660 gallons a day. That is staggering. That is staggering because if you eat 3 hamburgers in one day, I mean, look at the difference. Mm-hmm. It's insane that this is not being brought up on a government level.
It's also kind of shocking that it's not being brought more up in doctors' offices with all the obesity rates that are going on nowadays. I mean, I would assume that that much water consumption is definitely applying to the obese rate in this country. Because, I mean, we're not supposed to consume that much water in one thing. I mean, that's a staggering amount of water. 660 gallons in one hamburger.
Well, that's the amount of water that's used to produce it. Like that, they're saying that much water is used for the cow.
It's still contained in the meat itself. You know what I mean? The water is still being contained in the meat itself.
It's just
whatever the cow eats, it's going into their body, therefore it's going into your body after you eat the cow, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's another thing I found shocking is that they're saying that most of the antibiotics found in meat is also is in healthy cattle.
Yeah, I mean, the water thing itself is incredibly shocking, but then on top of that, one of the things that I also found crazy was that the meat and dairy industry produces more global greenhouse emissions than all forms of transportation combined.
And going back to the water, statistics that I'd also never heard before were that it takes 477 gallons for an egg and 900 gallons. They didn't say specifically, but I'm assuming it means for a pound of cheese, 900 gallons of water, which was really shocking to me because I think like going back to all of it, like I feel like dairy gets like the down low part of it. Like a lot of people are like, oh, don't eat meat, be vegetarian. But like veganism is such a really hard thing for anyone to wrap their mind around. But it's just as important because look at that, 900 gallons for cheese.
Yeah, I mean, because I've been trying to like make choices to stop consuming dairy, and people are like, man, I understand meat, but like, why dairy? And I try to explain. I've been trying to explain the cruelty part of it, but I mean, it's good that now I have actual hard statistics to give them as well. That this is poisoning our planet. So, and it's consuming all of our water that we feel we can save by taking shorter showers or watering less. So I think it's crazy. And like this other part that I thought was crazy was, I mean, at the very beginning they give the quote by Martin Luther King, in the end we will remember not the words of our enemies but the silence of our friends. And Kip was talking about how he would go to these organizations that he supported for so long, and they wouldn't help him. They would just meet him with silence. And he was talking about how they're first and foremost they're a business. And I thought that was so sad that, some of these organizations that we think are saving the planet are doing things for business that are harming our planet. So I think that part's just really sad. But one thing I do love is that they featured Sea Shepherd. I was really happy with that they interviewed some Sea Shepherd people.
It just makes me happy because that's one of the organizations, especially the three of us, like we feature Sea Shepherd every single week. And like to see that they are actually the good guys. They are actually practicing what they preach and going out there and like speaking out and not being afraid of all of this stuff to be afraid of, because there's stuff to be afraid of as an activist. I mean, honestly, like with the laws that they were talking about in the show, the three of us could get in trouble. I mean, we could be in trouble and be persecuted for speaking out and saying that, meat is harming the planet and, meat does this and meat does that, because apparently it's illegal, which is absurd because it's hurting people and we're not allowed to say that. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand that, like, even a little bit.
It reminds me a lot of, like, just the past, some of the things that have happened in the past with, like, human history in and of itself. Like, people see certain things and they just don't say anything, and, it gets to be a point where, those people that are being pushed down, they finally rebel because they're just so sick of being pushed down that they don't see any other option but to rebel. And, we see it on the news and we're like, why are these people doing this? We don't understand. Do you realize you're burning down your neighborhood? You're destroying your businesses. You're destroying this. You're destroying that. And, I mean, it genuinely comes down to a point where these people feel like they're being ignored, that their voices are not being heard. And that's basically what's starting to happen with some of these animals, like sharks, for example. They're losing their food, so therefore they're coming on shores to find food, and they're getting killed because they're coming on shores and attacking people. And it's like, you don't understand. Like, it's all part of the same problem. It's all globally connected into this one, thing that is animal agriculture, that is people eating meat, that is being basically taking over our planet. I mean, it's crazy to think about the amount of land that it takes to literally feed every single person in this country.
Oh, yeah.
45% of the world's land goes
literally, that's
land
almost
use.
half of our land is being set aside to feed ourselves, to feed us, basically. And that land is now being destroyed by these animals, because these animals are creating, all these types of other problems to the environment and to the water supplies that surround these factory farms. And now, it's just become a global national problem, whereas it's not just, one country's problem. It's literally everybody's problem.
And something that I find interesting, which is actually going to change how I approach things anyways, is they feature a family farm, like that all the cows are grass-fed, and that's something pushed just push and push and push. It's pushed in my own town because we have a farm that is pushing grass-fed beef and everything, and it is completely unsustainable. For everyone in the United States, just for everyone in the United States who eat meat to have grass-fed beef, we would have to use all of the land in the United States and Central America, part of South America, all of Canada, like just to raise the cows. And that's everything. That includes like the waters and the mountains and everything. So it's not even possible. We would have no people, no houses, no nothing. Just it's not even possible, people.
Yeah, and speaking of, the taking of land, I mean, this entire documentary, it's kind of ironic that we just watched Racing Extinction last week because it's so similar, even though it focuses on one particular aspect of what Racing Extinction talked about. It's so similar, and they talk about how we are in this point of mass extinction. And, people are talking about how sad it is that all of these species are gone. It's because you're stealing their land for animal agriculture. And you're destroying all of these species, all of these populations. And animal agriculture is a huge part of that. So, I mean, everything is connected. Racing Extinction, Cowspiracy, all of these things that we've been talking about, it's all connected, and it's all just really, really sad.
The rainforest is being taken out 1 acre per second, which is a staggering number, and that's either being used to raise livestock or for farming, for growing the food to feed the livestock. Mm. So I just think that people just don't realize all the aspects of it. But another thing that I found really disgusting is that the animal waste that is kind of produced, which the waste is producing methane, which is destroying the planet. But there's 116,000 pounds of animal waste per second in the United States alone. It's disgusting. So there's enough per year to cover San Francisco, New York City, Paris, Tokyo, New Delhi, Berlin, Hong Kong, London, Rio de Janeiro, Delaware, Bali, Costa Rica, and Denmark. That's disgusting. You know how much crap that is? Literal crap.
Like, we can laugh about it, but it really is just disgusting.
It really is. Disgusting. And the effects that it's having, too. I mean, it's crazy.
And it's just, just a really sad thing. And it's kind of crazy because palm oil is, like, a really big discussion lately. I know I've kind of been looking at it because it's in so many things that I eat. Mm-hmm. But it's responsible for 26 million of acres of rainforest being taken down, where agriculture is 136 million. So here it is again. The numbers are so different, but yet palm oil is being talked about. Agriculture, not at all. And when it is, there's people dying and getting executed because they're speaking out against it, or being, put through the legal system and having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees to keep yourself from getting a guilty verdict. So just for speaking out and telling people truth. This is all fact, people. This is not made up. It's not some kind of, crazy tree hugger thing. This is facts.
Yeah. Just one thing I wanted to mention that I found hilarious at the end of the documentary, when I think it was a doctor that was talking about like a vegan diet, and he was saying that milk gives men man boobs. And I just had to laugh about that. But I mean, it is true. It's milk and dairy is also making us unhealthy, on top of, the cruelties and all of the emissions and land and everything else. So I mean, it's difficult for people to hear this because a lot of people do not want to adopt a vegan diet. We're not saying that. We're not saying drop everything right now. We're just asking maybe to make like a few changes, 1 day a week, a meatless Monday and a dairy-free Friday, just little changes that can help the planet. Like Racing Extinction said, if everybody cut out meat and dairy for 1 day, it would be like taking 7 million cars off the road. I mean, it's just
That's staggering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy because, like, going back to the land of it all, 15 times the amount of plant protein can be grown on a land for the same as just one thing of, like, animal protein. So, like, an area where you can have cows, you can have 15 times the amount of protein coming from plants. So if you think that you don't get protein when you're a vegan, it's just crap, because you get plenty of protein from things that you can grow.
So we definitely think you guys should check out Cowspiracy. It is available on Netflix. You could also probably find it other places as well. We will also link the website to Cowspiracy down below. And just get the facts and be aware, and just, start with one thing, like Racing Extinction said, apply it here. Let us know what your one thing is, and if you've already done some of these things, we want to hear from you guys, and just, be aware of some of these things.
And remember, violence is taught. When you're little, there's a scene where a bird is executed, and the guy said, the first couple of times it bothered me, but then it didn't. So violence is taught. This is not something that we're ingrained to, eat meat every meal of every day. So just watch it and just take it to heart and see if you can change that one meal. Start with one meal, and then start with one day a week, and then maybe eventually where meat is, a rarity for you.
Mm.